A missing persons case is oftentimes shrouded in mystery, and investigators must collect every small piece of evidence available. Oftentimes, photos are a very important part of uncovering the truth. A photo that may have just been taken before the victim vanished not only provides a detailed and updated description, but may even lead prosecutors towards the suspect. Number 5. 7-year-old Kyron Horman was an energetic, positive, and very smart little boy according to his family and friends. Tragedy unfortunately struck when Kyron went missing in 2010. On June 4th, Kyron attended a school science fair with his stepmother, Terry. She explained to investigators that the morning started out normally and they both had a fun time together at the fair. Around 8:45, Terry had to leave the campus as Kyron would be heading to his first class. Terry recalled before walking outside that she saw Kyron walking in the direction of his first classroom. Terry provided a detailed description of her day, running errands after dropping Kyron off. After about 3:30 that afternoon, Terry and her husband, Kyron's father, walked to the bus stop with their toddler to greet Kyron. However, much to their shock, the bus driver explained that Kyron hadn't boarded the bus when the bell rang as he usually did. The driver suggested that the parents call the school to inquire about their child's whereabouts. Terry called and spoke to a secretary at Skyline Elementary School in Oregon. The woman explained that Kyron was not seen after the science fair and was marked absent for all of his classes. The pair suddenly realized that their child had gone missing. Emergency services were called, and a search was immediately assigned to find the missing boy. Investigators stuck to about a 2-mile radius around the school. Oddly, officers also demanded that Suave Island Bridge be a point of search. They never publicly explained why this location was added to the list, though. A search lasted about 10 days with no news, so it was time to start interrogating those that came in contact with Kyron. Eventually, his stepmother became the main suspect. A lawn care specialist close to Kyron's parents participated in a sting operation with officers to trick Terry into admitting that she was responsible for the child's disappearance. However, this mission failed. Terry also failed when officers made her take 2 polygraph tests in which she was questioned about the boy. Terry's car was allegedly in the school parking lot on the day that Kyron went missing, a time when she claimed she was busy running errands. No evidence was good enough to file charges against Terry, who stands by her own innocence in the case. Terry insisted that she loved Kyron as her own. Investigators referred to the last photo ever taken of Kyron, and the photo was posted on Facebook by Terry with a very positive caption. It could serve as a small signal that Terry did truly care about the child and is innocent, or it could be the last photo she took of her unsuspecting victim. Unfortunately, Kyron has still not been found. Number 4. 14-year-old Andrew Gosden went missing after embarking on a mysterious journey. In September of 2007, Gosden used the money he had in his bank account to buy a one-way ticket to London from his hometown in Doncaster, South Yorkshire. Even all these years later, investigators are still unable to confirm his reason for leaving or where exactly his desired destination was going to be. Before his disappearance, in the summer months of the school holiday, Andrew began to exhibit some strange signs and changes in behavior with his parents. His parents suggested that he visit his grandma in London alone, but he declined. He also had been attending a special summer school for gifted and talented children. While the young boy acted like he hated school, he did come home on one of the last days and was uncharacteristically excited about what he'd learned that day, according to his parents. They seemed like insignificant discrepancies, but to a parent that really knows their child, this was clearly a bit surprising. When Andrew started back in the fall school year, he chose to walk home after school rather than take the bus. A walk from school to his home would have taken the average person around 1.5 hours, a very tedious walk to volunteer for. On the day Andrew went missing, he had trouble waking up despite usually being on time. His mother also described him as particularly irritable that day. When he left for school, instead of taking the bus, he took a detour and sat at a local park while his parents left the house. Then he went back home to wash some clothes and pack a backpack. He took clothes, a portable PlayStation, his wallet, and his keys. He didn't take his passport, any clothes for cold weather, the charger to his gaming device, or a single penny of the $100 he'd collected in his room. He then went to a local ATM and withdrew all the money he had in his account, which he used to purchase his one-way ticket to London. Some CCTV footage shows Andrew boarding different schedules, and a handful of witnesses reported seeing him or even sitting next to him on the transit. Andrew was never seen again, and his parents were only notified of his absence from school later that day. Some theories popped up about Andrew's tip. His father suggested that he may have attended a YouTube gathering in London that same day, but no evidence could confirm Andrew attending. Others suspected that a girl was the reason why there was no evidence that Andrew had been communicating with anyone for a period of time. This photo is a still from CCTV footage because the entire video was not made public. It shows Gosden at the last location in which security footage caught him on camera. It's unclear at what point his journey ended, but this is the last photo of the missing teen. Number 3. 24-year-old Sydney Loof took this Snapchat selfie shortly before she went on a date with a mysterious woman. This would soon become the last known photo ever taken of the young woman before she vanished without a trace in November of 2017. The selfie shows the young woman smiling toward the camera with the hopeful caption, "Can't wait to meet my date." The woman used the heart eye emoji in her caption, and it's clear to see why she was very excited and happy about attending the evening. Sydney headed out for a date just a few hours after she snapped this photo. After a few days of not returning home or showing up for work, her employer called her family and friends to alert them. Her loved ones were rather distraught at the news and immediately got the police involved. It was discovered that Sydney left her apartment as though she would be returning shortly, even leaving her cat alone, clearly meaning she planned to be home in no time. Her car was still also parked outside her apartment, meaning she either never left for the date or her date picked her up. It's unclear how Sydney met the mysterious woman that planned to take her out, but her friends assumed that she met her online and didn't know her very well. She didn't mention much to her friends about the date, so it's proven impossible to identify a suspect. Sydney's phone was active within the first few hours following her disappearance. The last known activity on the phone was pinned to a small town about 40 miles from where Sydney lived. After that, it's assumed that either the phone died, got left behind, or was destroyed as a way to cover her tracks. Loved ones described Sydney as an outgoing, happy, and loving young woman. They agreed that her leaving for an extended period of time without notice was absolutely not in character, and that something very serious must have gone on instead. No new leads or evidence have been uncovered about this woman's case, and she sadly remains missing to this day. The most depressing part about the selfie is how unaware and giddy Sydney appears, as she had no idea what was coming her way. Police request that any information be called into Lincoln, Nebraska Police Department. Number 2. This entry may be a little more upsetting, considering the missing victim was only 3 years old at the time of the disappearance. In September of 2014, William Tyrell went on a trip with his foster family to meet his foster grandmother. The trip would have taken the family a few hours, but they still arrived very early in the day, around 10:30 a.m. William and his sister were playing hide and seek in the front and backyards of their grandma's house. The children laughed, played, and ran around while their mother and grandmother stood on the porch, chatting while keeping an eye on the children. At some point, the women headed inside to refill their cups of tea and have a rest. His mother recalls that the last thing she heard from William was him imitating the roar of a tiger as he ran outside of the house. After that, silence filled the air and lingered for about 5 solid minutes. It was at this point that his mother became concerned and walked outside to check on the kids. William could not be found anywhere as his mother yelled his name. His 5-year-old sister was asked if she saw anything, and she described something similar to what her mother had heard, William roaring like a lion and running into the yard. Their grandmother called the police around 11 a.m. as his mother and father walked the neighborhood, making sure to knock on every door that there was. Still, there was no trace of the young boy. The photo shown here is of William just an hour or so before he vanished. He's seen wearing a Spider-Man outfit as he plays with something on the ground. It appears also that he's talking or shouting in the photo, but it seems as though he's overall happy and well taken care of. The family members who were present at the time had clear alibis and caused no concern to investigators to consider them as suspects. A quick search proved that at least 20 pedophiles and sex offenders lived in the area, though. Police originally assumed that the boy had been taken by one of these men and either kept for themselves or sold into child slavery. As horrific of a theory as it is, it very well could have been true. Although there's no evidence in the homes and cars of any of these people that may suggest that, it could still be likely that one of them took the boy to someone in charge of a pedophile ring. The truth is still unclear as the family hopes and prays for the best, and while the last photo of little William is somewhat depressing, it's a comforting thought to imagine the child in happier times. Number 1. Tara Calico was a 19-year-old woman who went missing in September of 1988. She woke up on the morning of September 20th and headed out for a daily bike ride, which she took along the same route every day. Tara's mother usually made the ride with her, but had an incident in which she felt she was being stalked by a motorist. One of the last conversations the mother ever had with her daughter was warning her that she may consider carrying mace or some other weapon for self-defense. Unfortunately, Tara dismissed the idea. Tara told her mother she would come home around noon or 1 p.m. that day, but never showed up. Her mother drove along her route hoping to spot her daughter, and when she didn't, she immediately called the police. Investigators primarily reported to the roadside route that Tara rode. Along the route, they found her headphones and a cassette playing lying on the ground. They believed that this is a piece of evidence she left behind to try to create a trail. Some drivers reported to the police that they remembered seeing her on her daily route, but there were no apparent witnesses to her abduction. Her bike was never found, and sadly neither was she. Tara remains a missing person to this day. However, a big piece of evidence that didn't unveil itself until more recently was that a white Toyota pulled into an empty parking spot at a local hardware store, and a 30-year-old mysterious man driving the car accidentally dropped a Polaroid photo. The photo was later picked up by a store employee, and the cops were called once again. The photo featured a young boy who was around 10 years old, and a woman who appeared to be in her early 20s. Both of them were bound with duct tape, lying on a bed and glaring at the camera in fear. The woman featured was believed to be Tara Calico. Investigators pointed out how much the girl resembled Tara, and her mother even confirmed that she was almost 100% that was her. A suspect was never located in connection to the photo, but over the years it's believed that more photos of the two victims were taken and sent to the police department or purposefully left in public locations. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos. And if you enjoyed this narration, maybe consider checking out my personal channel at youtube.com/ty_knots.